Did you hear that Ron Paul is running for president again?
No, I hadn't heard that. I don't like Ron Paul. He is anti-Semitic and racist.
What do you mean? Ron Paul is a champion of liberty and freedom. He has spoken out against all forms of racism in his books. He believes that no one should be judged by group affiliation and that we are all responsible for our own individual actions.
Ron Paul is a racist because he doesn't condemn the racism of others. If he doesn't condemn racism, he must be a racist himself.
He believes that government should not be used as a tool to incite hatred or violence toward any group or individual. As a government official, he believes the Constitution allows him the right to express his personal beliefs but not to condemn the beliefs of others.
He wants to stop foreign aid to Israel. He must hate the Jews.
Ron Paul wants to end foreign aid to all nations, not just Israel, and for many good reasons. First, because our nation is financially broke. Second, because it creates dependency on America and diminishes the sovereignty of the receiving nations. Third, the money is often used to oppress the public of the nations the aid is given to. As Dr. Paul says, foreign aid is money taken from poor people in a rich country and given to the rich people in a poor country.
Ron Paul will make our country less safe because he wants to end the war on terror. He said if he is elected he will bring all of our troops home. That would allow terrorist organizations to grow more powerful and organized. The terrorists hate us because we are free and wealthy. That's why they want to kill us.
According to the 9/11 Commission report, multiple third-party investigations and the terrorists that have attacked us, terrorists hate us because our foreign policy has made their lives miserable. Sanctions, preventive war and nation-building have caused countless civilian deaths in the Middle East and have ushered in an era of oppression and poverty for many in the region. Bringing our troops home would make us safer because we would no longer be meddling in the affairs of other sovereign nations, thereby giving radicals the tools they need to recruit new members.
Ron Paul is an isolationist. He wants to cut us off from the rest of the world.
Isolationism is defined as a policy of non-participation in international economic and political relations. Ron Paul advocates trading openly and freely with all nations of the world. In that regard, Ron Paul is less of an isolationist than those currently in office who prefer the status quo of sanctions on countries they don't like. He believes in non-intervention of foreign governments, meaning that the United States should not force other nations to conform to our demands. Non-interventionism is not the same as isolationism.
Ron Paul wants to end the Federal Reserve, which is responsible for keeping our money safe. Without the Federal Reserve, our economy would be adrift like a ship without a rudder.
Ron Paul believes in the sound money principles of Austrian economics. During the decades leading up to the creation of the Federal Reserve, our country saw a period of deflation, meaning that your buying power increased as your money became more valuable. The Federal Reserve has managed to cause so much inflation that our dollar is worth less than 5% of what it was worth when the Fed was formed. The Fed is also responsible for keeping interest rates artificially low, which leads to more spending and less saving.
But we don't need to save because the government is keeping our retirement money safe for us in Social Security.
If nothing changes, Social Security will start paying out more than it takes in, sometime in the year 2016. The surplus will be used up by 2037. If inflation continues on its current path, your Social Security checks will not be enough to provide basic necessities after you retire.
The government will take care of my needs when I retire. Obamacare or Medicare will provide my medical needs.
Medicare has been shown to suffer the same problems as Social Security. It will be insolvent soon if drastic changes are not made. There are currently no plans that would balance the budget and pay off our nation's debt while providing health care to every American. Because of the phenomenon of moral hazard, an insurance plan that covers health care costs will naturally be more expensive than if everyone just paid for the medical services they need. Moral hazard occurs when parties insulated from risk behave differently than they would if they were fully exposed to the risk. People with health insurance and doctors treating those people are more likely to have unnecessary procedures performed because they are covered. Insurance also reduces competition and rewards mediocrity because the worst doctors are compensated the same as the best doctors. In a free market society, the good doctors would thrive and bad doctors would go out of business.
Ron Paul wants to control my body by not allowing me to get abortions if I want.
Ron Paul wants to return rights to the individual states to decide what is best for them regarding abortion and all other issues the Constitution did not assign to the federal government. He is on record as being pro-life himself because he believes that the rights of the Constitution extends to all humans, even those who have yet to be born. Dr. Paul has delivered more than 4,000 babies and has first-hand experience with the atrocities of abortion. His position is that a baby carried to term and then aborted should have the same rights as a baby born naturally. Both are viable human lives.
Ron Paul supports gay marriage, prostitution and the legalization of currently illegal drugs. How can a conservative family man support such things?
He wants to end the federal regulation of personal choices so that such issues are left up to the individual states. He believes that marriage should be a contract between two people or that the church should be responsible for it. As an advocate of liberty, Ron Paul believes that any personal choice should be allowed as long as it does not infringe on the liberties of other people. He says our federal government should not be used to govern morality or protect us from ourselves. I wholeheartedly agree.
Ron Paul supports Muslims even though they are taking over our country. He is on record saying that he supported the building of a mosque in New York City at Ground Zero.
Again, Ron Paul believes in individuality rather than blaming an entire race or religion for the actions of a few radicals. His support of the mosque in New York City is based on property rights. He believes the government should not have the authority to tell property owners what they can and cannot build on their own property. Allowing such could set a bad precedent that could allow the government to prohibit the building of other structures on privately owned property. True freedom and liberty means liberty for all, not just liberty on uncontroversial issues.
But he supports radical Islam because he refused to vote for condemnation of the treatment of Israel by surrounding Arab nations.
Ron Paul has consistently voted against interfering in the actions of other sovereign nations, stating that the Constitution does not grant the authority of our elected officials to meddle in the affairs of other countries. He is also the only no vote on several other issues regarding the condemnation of other world governments, including China's treatment of Tibet. That doesn't make him a supporter of Islam or anti-Semitic.
So if he doesn't support Islam, why is he against enhanced interrogation techniques?
Enhanced interrogation is just a fancy way of saying torture. Civilized societies all over the world have agreed that torture is inhumane. In fact, torture is currently prohibited under international law and the domestic laws of most countries, including the United States. Torture rarely yields the expected results of accurate information collection. The person being tortured is likely to say whatever the torturer wants to hear, whether it's true or not. Even worse, by employing torture on our enemies, it increases the likelihood that our own soldiers will be tortured if they are captured in battle. When the U.S. engages in torture, it sends a message to the world that we believe we are above international law. For our own protection, the protection of our troops, and to convey goodwill to our international neighbors, it is imperative that we follow international law and avoid all torture.
But didn't Ron Paul say on that radio show that he wouldn't have ordered bin Laden killed? If he can't order the death of the world's #1 terrorist, how can he be trusted to be the commander-in-chief of the most powerful army in the world?
Ron Paul advocates for the rule of law in all situations. The attack on bin Laden's compound could be considered an invasion of a sovereign nation. How would we feel if a foreign nation sent their military onto our soil instead of requesting to work with our officials? By ordering the kill, President Obama made himself bin Laden's judge, jury and executioner, which is the exact opposite of the American way. As heinous and despicable as bin Laden was, even he deserves a day in court. Besides, I think more Americans would have preferred seeing a public trial and sentencing instead of a secret mission without even so much as a picture as evidence that bin Laden is really dead.
I still don't know. Ron Paul ran for the GOP nomination in 2008 and got very few votes. What makes you think he is electable now?
Ron Paul finished second or third in many primaries and caucuses in 2008, even beating John McCain in the Nevada caucus. The Ron Paul revolution continued to grow even after Dr. Paul was officially out of the running. Now, in 2011, he has won 2 consecutive CPAC straw polls as well as multiple other straw polls around the country. A recent CNN poll showed that he has the greatest chance of all the Republican contenders in beating Obama in 2012.
I still don't understand his positions on several issues like immigration, national security, trade policies, unions, or education. I don't see how these issues can benefit from less government.
I suggest reading Ron Paul's latest book called Liberty Defined. Not only does he outline his positions on 50 of today's most important political topics, he discusses why he believes what he believes. Even if you don't agree with all of his positions, it's important to discuss and debate all of the topics openly and honestly. Even more than being president, Ron Paul wants open and honest discussion of our nation's current problems. He wants transparency in government and maximum liberty and freedom for all United States citizens. You can learn more by visiting ronpaul.com, ronpaul2012.com or ronpaul.org.